Ketil introduces Einar to Thorfinn and explains that they will be working together to clear the forest and establish a wheat farm, which Ketil owns and has lent to them. Einar is surprised when Ketil tells him that, once they have sold the harvest, they can buy their freedom from slavery, and Ketil assures them that with hard work, they can be free in 3 years. Peter, a free man who had earned his freedom in the same way, offers his support and wishes them luck. Before leaving, Ketil suggests that Einar take the day to observe Thorfinn's work. As Thorfinn returns to the forest, Einar follows him and expresses his curiosity about Ketil and Danish culture, as in his homeland, slavery is a lifelong sentence. Einar shares that he is from northern England and inquires about Thorfinn's origin, to which Thorfinn reveals he is from Iceland, but Einar is unfamiliar with the location. Observing the numerous cut trees, Einar marvels at Thorfinn's progress and inquires about the remaining workload. Thorfinn gestures toward the river and explains that all trees on the other side must also be cleared, prompting Einar to realize that there is still quite a bit of work left to do. Thorfinn continues his task of felling trees, but Einar, eager to expedite his release, decides to join in. Unfortunately, his inexperience leads to his axe getting lodged in the first tree he strikes. Thorfinn reminds Einar to rest, but he insists on continuing. Thorfinn suggests they begin further away from each other, cutting the trees perpendicular to the river so that they can be floated down. As they work, Einar's stomach grumbles, prompting him to ask Thorfinn about lunch. Thorfinn explains that the farmhands will bring food when it is time. Einar overhears voices and surmises that lunch is on its way. When the men arrive with their meager provisions, Einar is surprised by the small portion size. The men note that it is his first time being a slave, reminding him that he is fortunate to receive any food at all. Einar responds with anger, but Thorfinn steps in, taking the food and thanking the men. They caution him to teach Einar some manners and to be gentle with the horse. The 4 men then retire under a nearby tree. Thorfinn and Einar are seen pulling a tree with their horse. Thorfinn ties the horse to a tree and explains to Einar that they will be pulling the tree while Einar pushes from behind. Einar asks if they can cut the tree more, but Thorfinn informs him that they cannot as it belongs to their master. Einar then assumes that the job belongs to the 4 men, but Thorfinn tells him to forget about them. The two, with the help of the horse, proceed to pull the trees toward the river. Later in the evening, Einar is feeling hungry, tired, and frustrated with the farmhands. He comments that the farmhands must not have their own land and are serving the master, to which Thorfinn agrees. Einar expresses his anger towards the situation, calling the farmhands half-slaves and accusing them of bullying those below them to feel superior. He wonders if Thorfinn shares the same thoughts, but Thorfinn seems indifferent. Einar argues that they are owned by the master and the farmhands have no right to order them around. He suggests reporting them to Ketil, but Thorfinn advises against it as it would only lead to more harassment. Einar becomes furious with Thorfinn for being fine with the situation. Ketil arrives to check on them, and Einar intends to speak up, but he's distracted by a beautiful woman passing by. Ketil assumes everything is fine, and he departs without hearing Einar's report. Ketil and his farmhands are hard at work harvesting wheat on a sunny day. The children bring some fresh water, and after taking a sip, Ketil informs them that they need to finish this batch by noon. Einar expresses surprise at seeing Ketil working in the fields, having assumed that wealthy people never work. As they work, Einar observes a young man struggling to harvest wheat properly and looking annoyed to be doing the manual labor. The young man is Olmar, Ketil's son. Ketil tries to assist Olmar, but Olmar insists that he's doing what he was told to do. Ketil advises him to use the hand sickle and cut the wheat below the knee, leaving long stumps for the livestock to graze on. Olmar becomes increasingly agitated as Ketil continues to explain the harvesting process. Einar inquires about the young man, and Thorfinn reveals that he is Ketil's son. Frustrated, Olmar exclaims that he's had enough and decides to leave, stating that he only helped out once and doesn't want to do boring farm work. He attempts to pull out his sword from behind his back, but the blade is too long to remove from the sheath. After failing to pull it out, Olmar puts his sword back and rides away on his horse, declaring that he wants to make a name for himself with his sword one day. Later that night, Olmar is practicing his swordplay and talking with a woman in his bed. He tells her he will be leaving soon to join Prince Canute's army in England. When he tries to swat a moth with his sword, he misses. The woman asks when he will return, but Olmar doesn't know and explains that King Harald will likely call for reinforcements soon. She suggests that he take over the farm, but Olmar insists that he's not interested in that life. The woman invites him back to bed, but outside her parents are listening and hoping that Olmar will continue to sleep with their daughter so they can secure their future. After a while, Olmar emerges from the room angry, and the woman's parents ask if their daughter did something wrong. Olmar yells at them, accusing them of trying to use him to become part of Ketil's family and live in luxury. Frustrated, Olmar leaves, muttering that all women are rotten. Olmar rides through the night in frustration and encounters two drunk farmhands who warn him that it's dangerous to ride at night. They explain that they went to see a woman, but couldn't fight with other retainers who got there first. They find Olmar lucky that he can do what he wants. However, Olmar is not in the mood for drinking and chatting, but the two farmhands invite him to join them anyway. In bed, Einar suggests to Thorfinn that Olmar should take the farm, and that despite Olmar's admiration for warriors, anyone who goes to war becomes a beast. Thorfinn urges Einar to sleep as they have an early wake-up, but Einar recounts how his village was twice invaded by soldiers, first by the King of England soldiers who burned every house and killed his father, and then by the Danes who claimed to be liberating them but pillaged everything. Einar concludes that soldiers are beasts in human form. When Einar asks if Thorfinn is asleep, Thorfinn remains silent as he remembers his own similar experiences. And with that, we conclude this episode.